1,200 Walgreens are closing right now as we speak. 300 Papa John's, Wendy's, 800 stores in a single quarter. Your property value is not going to benefit from this. Detroit lost everything in 1971 and never got it back. Here is who is next.
Here's what nobody on cable news is saying out loud. 1,800 retail closures hit the books in one quarter. Walgreens, Papa John's, Wendy's, grocery outlet. The headlines call it a retail story. It's not. It's a class restructuring story disguised as a retail story. And the version of middle-class American life that depended on a regular town with regular services is being dismantled in real time, quietly, zip code by zip code. If you want to know what they're actually doing, stop listening to the press release. Watch where the money goes. Watch what gets boarded up and what gets built. Watch which towns the chains are leaving and which ones they're expanding into. The map being drawn this quarter is the map of who gets to remain middle class for the next 20 years and who doesn't. By the end of this video, you'll see the 3 signals that tell you which side of that line your zip code is on. And you'll understand the one part nobody's talking about, that this same wave is creating a real opportunity for someone willing to operate in what's left behind. Walgreens Boots Alliance filed an 8K with the SEC, 1,200 stores closing. That's not a rumor, that's a legal disclosure. Papa John's first quarter 2026 earnings, 300 underperforming locations slated for closure. Wendy's followed, 5 to 6% of roughly 6,000 locations, another 300 stores gone. Grocery Outlet Holding Corporation, 36 closures. Added up, 1,800 retail closures in a single quarter, weighted heavily in suburbs and lower income zip codes, not coastal cities, not coincidence. That's the number nobody on television has aggregated. Until now. We've seen this sequence before. Between 1971 and 1985, American inner cities lost roughly 40% of their grocery stores, 30% of their pharmacies, 50% of their bank branches. The Brookings Institution documented it, the Federal Reserve tracked it, and the part that matters most, they did not come back. The stores were gone and the desert stayed. The USC Schaefer Center studied pharmacy access at the zip code level. Once a pharmacy desert forms, the health outcomes in that zip code decline measurably and permanently. That's not an economic outcome. That's a life outcome. The diabetic who used to walk 3 blocks for insulin now drives 20 minutes. The senior on 5 medications stops filling 2 of them because the trip is too hard. The mother with a sick kid waits an extra day to start the antibiotic. The desert isn't an inconvenience. It's a slow draining of the conditions that allow normal middle-class life to function. Picture a town, call it Dave's Town, first-ring suburb, population around 40,000. Not wealthy, not destitute, just a regular American town with a regular main street. 18 months ago, the Walgreens on the main strip announced it was closing. People were annoyed. They drove to the CDS 2 towns over. No big deal, they said. Then the Papa John's closed. Then the Wendy's. Then the small grocery store that had been there since the 80s lost its anchor foot traffic and quietly shut down. Dave's Town didn't collapse overnight. It hollowed out. Slowly. Quietly. One boarded window at a term.
Hey everyone, real quick, just to jump in, I want to throw this idea out there. 4 real estate courses, 1 stupid low price on how to learn about economic and real estate cycles, how to crush it during when everyone else is getting crushed, and how to make money from it. If someone's going to make the money, it better be you and not the banks. Check it out. Sales going on for just a little bit longer, and let's get back to this video.
Here's what nobody talks about. The businesses that stayed started struggling too. The diner that relied on Walgreens foot traffic, the dry cleaner, the nail salon. When the anchor leaves, it takes the ecosystem, the middle-class infrastructure of that town, the routine commerce that makes it feel like a place where a family can build a life. That infrastructure is the thing being removed, not by accident, by design. Now here's the mechanism, because the why determines whether it ever reverses. Most people assume a store closes because sales are bad. That's only half the story. The other half is private equity and capital allocation math. When a leveraged buyout firm acquires a retail chain, the real estate on the balance sheet often becomes more valuable than the operating business itself. The store doesn't close because it failed. It closes because the land is worth more empty than operating. That's why these closures are permanent. The economic incentive to reopen doesn't exist once the capital has been redeployed. The retail chain isn't running a retail business in those zip codes. It's running a real estate liquidation. The capital is leaving the towns that supported the post-war middle class and redeploying into denser, wealthier markets where the math still works. The towns being abandoned aren't getting their stores back. Signal 1, pharmacy access. If your zip code has fewer than 2 pharmacies within a 5-mile radius, you're already in a vulnerable tier. Losing one more puts you in a desert. Signal 2, anchor retail density. When a Walgreens closes, the foot traffic that sustained the surrounding small businesses disappears with it. Watch for the secondary closures within 6 to 12 months. Signal 3, bank branch presence. If your local branch is already gone, the retail desert isn't coming, it's already forming. The bank leaves when the deposits don't justify the operating cost. That's the same math the Walgreens 8K describes. 3 signals. You only need 1 to start paying attention. 2 means you're already in the pattern. But here's the part this story has that the 1971 version didn't. The towns being abandoned by the chains aren't empty. The people are still there. The demand didn't leave when the chain did. The chain left because corporate math doesn't work at the scale of a struggling suburb. Local math works fine. The independent pharmacy can operate profitably at a scale Walgreens can't. The buildings being vacated are commercial real estate, some of them at distressed pricing. The chains pulling out is the first time in 2 generations that the math has shifted back. That's not optimism. That's not a happy ending. The convenience of having every service within a 5-mile radius, that's the part that disappears with the desert. 5 years from now, there are 2 kinds of zip codes in this country. The ones that kept their essential services and the ones that became deserts. The map is being drawn this quarter. Mike is standing in the parking lot of the closed Walgreens on his street. The sign is still up. The lights are off. There's a number on the door for a commercial real estate broker. He's not staring at a closure. He's looking at the question every empty storefront in America forces a town to answer. Does someone reopen this, or does it stay dark? In America right now, 1 independent pharmacy closes every single day. 48 million Americans already live in a pharmacy desert. Texas loses 1 pharmacy a week. Nick Bryce runs the only pharmacy in Heber-Overgaard, Arizona. His words, "Sometimes I worry that I'm not even going to be able to get payroll." He's the difference between his town having medication access and not having it. The independent operator who steps into the empty storefront isn't running a hopeful business. They're running a desperate one. The math punishes the relationship. 29% of all retail pharmacies closed between 2010 and 2021, and the independent operators in working class neighborhoods went down hardest. They're going down right now at the rate of 1 a day. And here's the part that determines which side of the line your town ends up on. The only thing keeping that independent open is the locals showing up. Not occasionally, consistently. Filling their prescriptions there, even when their insurance steers them to a chain 20 miles away. Buying their groceries there, even when Dollar General is cheaper. Eating at the local diner, even when delivery from the next town over is faster. That's the brutal arithmetic. The households getting squeezed by inflation are the ones who have to make the slightly more expensive, slightly less convenient choice for the local operator to survive. If the locals don't show up, the local operator joins the chain in closing. And then the desert that was forming becomes the desert that exists. The pharmacy doesn't reopen because there's no operator left. The towns that survive this don't survive it on capital allocation math. They survive it on a community deciding collectively, painfully, to spend the slightly more expensive dollar at the slightly less convenient business. There is no other mechanism. The chains aren't coming back.